welcome to You Voice. Greetings, all you, where you're tuning in from. We're here in Boston, in Massachusetts, and we love you so much. My name is David Chilabira, and I'm with
Judith Bukenya.
Thank you so much. It's been a very busy week, but we always appreciate you for taking the time to tune in to You Voice and to AITV, to follow our episodes, to follow our show. So today is going to be very wonderful. We have a very wonderful guest here in the show, Mr. Daniel Sebugwawa. Thank you so much for coming onto the show. Judy, over to you.
Thank you, David. Today we're going to be starting a series, a short series on the Buganda Kingdom. As of late, a lot of people in the diaspora know this, and a lot of people who don't know about the land ownership of Buganda is deteriorating due to the fact that the government is tearing away from people in the Buganda Kingdom land that was inherited to them, that was given to them out of an agreement that Uganda had with England. So we're going to start a small series on the history of the Buganda Kingdom, and also how we got from the early 1900s and up to now. So to start off our conversation today, Daniel, would you give our viewers a quick history on how Uganda was functioning prior to colonialization?
Thank you, David and Judith, for having me here. This is my first time to be on the You Voice show. I was gonna say You Vote, but I'm really glad to be here, and I'm glad to be amidst you to go through this very crucial topic right now that is gaining momentum back home in Uganda. But to give a brief background of the Buganda Kingdom, before the colonialists came, the British, Buganda was one of the many kingdoms that existed within Uganda, the Uganda that we have right now. We had the Baganda, we had the Banyoro, we had the Batoro, and so many other tribes. But what was unique about the Baganda by that time, they had a very strong and well-structured administrative structure that even amazed the British when they came. And unlike other kingdoms, the Baganda had a Kabaka on top, who was the head of the kingdom. They had the Katikiro, who was running the daily business of the government of the Kabaka.
So for our non-Luganda speakers, the Kabaka is the king.
Yeah, he's the king.
And the Katikiro
is the prime minister.
Thank you.
But then the Katikiro had clan leaders who are the Bataka. These clan leaders were the ones who lead different clan groups. And these clan groups were classified according to animals. So, like me, I'm a Muganda, and my
Kabiro?
Anedira musu. Akabiro kayunza.
Uh-oh. We might edit that.
But yeah. but to be specific, these structures identified the people and their leadership. So the Kabaka knew who his people are through these structures. And each clan had a role to play in the kingdom. There were those that had a role in security, agriculture, food, which to date translated into the Buganda Ruchiko. So the Ruchiko has representatives who have all those different roles. So even the Ruchiko was there by then, before even the British came. So the Kabaka could sit with all these people, I mean the Katikiro, and then get them to do different things, and then the Kabaka, the Katikiro had to report to the Kabaka. So that's how the structure ran. So it was really very structured that when the British came, they realized that it would be easier for them to identify with this structure to be able to spread into the region. That's why when they came, they had to centralize their operations in Buganda. And they built a relationship with Buganda. And
because of how intricate the system was operating.
The system was, yes.
Got it.
It was easy to relate because it's almost the same that they had in Britain with the king, I mean the queen and the,
Yes.
So actually they used the Buganda to be a vehicle to fight off other kingdoms that actually did not welcome the British, like the Banyoro. The Banyoro actually had refused. So the Buganda kingdom fought the Bunyoro for the British to expand, even the Batoro. That's why we also have those, the part of the land from the Banyoro was given to the Baganda for that cause. But after the British were well structured, they actually trained some of the Bagandas to be administrators within the colonial system. So most of the Bagandas got a chance to be educated and to be administrators, and some of them were taken to the British and trained as soldiers. Actually, some Baganda by then served in the British Army. And one of the crucial moments was when the Kabaka Daudi Chwa was also taken to Buganda to British to be trained as a soldier. He was actually a very, very good soldier, and so forth and so forth. But the most important thing that I wanted to note is the relationship between the colonizers and the Buganda. And both of these people had a very intricate relationship because the British wanted something and the Baganda also wanted something. So they kind of like striked a balance in terms of how they were going to pull off this relationship. That's why we had issues to do with land, because for the British, they looked at Uganda as a whole, but Buganda had its interests within Buganda. They didn't want to, influence other regions. They actually wanted to have influence on what is theirs. That's why up to today, Buganda is so crucial in fighting for federalism, because they had that already. But the British had to devise a way to assure the Baganda that all your interests are protected as long as you can work with us. So that relationship led to the 1900 Buganda Agreement, so that Buganda can protect its territory, can be in charge of what it believes it's theirs, and this was the land. So this Buganda 1900 Agreement actually mapped the beginning of the Milo land, which is all land, actually not all land, but land that belonged to the Kabaka, the Balangira, and the Bataka. The Balangira are the sons and brothers of the royal family. They had mapped out specific areas of land that belonged to them. The Bataka are the clan leaders. They had also mapped territories that belonged to specific tribes, like the Musu, the Mamba tribe. So that land had to be protected. Not all land within Buganda is Milo land, but land that is crucial, which is the biggest chunk of land within Buganda, was that the 1900 Agreement mapped that land.
And that totaled about 19,600 miles.
Yes. And that's where the Maryland system started. So moving forward, a lot of governments came in. And because the British had centered their operations in Buganda, and a lot of Baganda were educated, they were immersed into the system, they had traveled to British to see how the agricultural system worked. They came back. Buganda became economically very powerful.
So what you want to tell our viewers, Daniel, is that Buganda was already structured and it had its own governance. It was already established.
It was already established before even the British came. And the reason why Buganda was prioritized, like not which other kingdom didn't get, because of these structures. The British looked at these structures and they felt like this is a good start. We can build on from this and spread all over the country and have control all over the country. That's why they had that relationship. And Buganda had its interest. And I'm so amazed how the Kabaka then, there was Mwanga and Mutesa. Because Mutesa was the one who first had this engagement. Actually, for Mutesa, I read a book. I'm forgetting the title. But I picked one thing is that his interest was the guns. He was amazed how the gun operated. I was like, if I can land my hands on this piece of art, I can.
Art, indeed, yes.
Yeah. So that was his interest in the beginning. I think that's one of the reasons why he actually invited. And also trade, because Buganda was a big agricultural area, and they could trade with other regions, like Kenya and Tanzania, because of
it was along a big trade route.
So you can see that all these things started way out. The Kabaka was smart. He had interests, and he aligned his interests before the British. The British are like, okay, we can understand your interests. Let's build a relationship. Let's work together, and that's how they kept working together. But with time, governments came. Uganda got its independence, and Buganda became vibrant economically and socially. Buganda was the envy of the whole country, because a lot of Bagandas were educated. The big universities were in Buganda. The government centers were in Buganda. So a lot of people came here, which I also want to echo that Buganda welcomed everybody.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
What was the relationship that Buganda had with other tribes? Because Buganda sounds like it was the dominant group. Yes. Yeah. So what was the relationship that other tribes, other peoples had to Buganda, given that they were the ones who were educated, they had the most, let me say, political power and structure? Yeah. What was their relationship to others, and the relationship that others within Uganda had to Buganda?
Well, Buganda didn't have a specific outlined relationship with other kingdoms. Actually, they were rivals, like the Banyoro, the Batoro, and the other tribes. But Buganda welcomed everybody from all those kingdoms to come to Buganda and to be a part of what was going on in Buganda. I think that's the spirit that they had then, that, we don't want to interfere in your affairs, but you can come here, you can share in what we have. And that's the spirit that they still hold today.
Yes.
And a lot of people came. You see the rise of Obote, the restoration of other, the immersion of other people into the government system. People from different walks of life came to Buganda and were immersed into the system. They actually married Baganda women. They studied within Buganda. They bought land. They started families within Buganda.
Yes.
Which is one other thing I want to echo, is that any place, anywhere in the world that welcomes people from different angles of life prospers faster than those that are trying to push away. Yeah. You can see America. This country is built by immigrants. People from different walks of life can come here, start a life, fight their way through. You can share in what is already here freely without, So that's the foundation of Buganda's greatness. That anybody with any idea can come in and be whatever they want and be immersed into the system. You can see Indians who are even representative in the Buganda Luchiko. You don't find that anywhere else in Uganda.
That's true.
It's in Buganda. You can see even the Museveni Liberation War. Buganda was a very, very crucial element, because the part of the war that were difficult was in Buganda, in Luwero. And it's because of the influence of the kingdom that the guerrilla fighters were able to break through. So that element, you cannot just take it away just like that.
Yes.
Yeah. It's so heavy. It's naturally built. Even the people who come to Buganda and are embraced can feel it. It's just a few elements who, just like before, who come and they feel they are entitled, and they don't want to have that peaceful relationship, or a coexisting relationship. They just want to grab. They just want to influence.
Take,
There are just a few elements. I don't think it's a lot of people, but that's the journey of how Buganda rose and how Buganda expanded and was able to create this system that even up to now still upholds. You can see that anything to do with the Kabaka and the kingdom, even people from different areas, the north, the south, the east, contribute or get to be a part of it freely without, being coerced, because they know this is their place.
Yes.
The Baganda are not like, you're not from here, you cannot buy land here, or you cannot marry here. But there are places where, in Uganda where you cannot do that.
Yeah. Yes.
So that's the envy that I think the envy of Buganda, and that's the power, embracing diversity. Because people from different areas come with a different, something you don't have, they add it to already what you have. And that's how development is achieved.
So what I'm hearing is that Buganda is for everyone.
It's for everyone.
It's for everyone.
It's for everyone. At least that's what I see, and that's what I've grown up seeing.
Yeah.
And even the existing government wouldn't be in power, honestly, without the influence of Buganda. Buganda has a very fundamental bearing on the political system of the country.
Yes.
Not only the political, the economic system, the historical, the culture. I was amazed. I one day made a trip to Karamoja, and I was moving around the city in Karamoja, Moroto town, and there were these video halls. They were showing Luganda movies.
Wow.
Luganda translated movies.
Yes.
I was like, wow. And there were people there, the Karamojongs, speaking Luganda. I was like, this is a huge influence.
Yeah.
This is a very huge influence.
Yeah.
No, and it's not coerced. It's just natural. And I think, so I think the influence of Buganda, not only in the political, the economic, or the culture, the influence of Buganda on the people and their lives and their hopes and their dreams is very, very fundamental, that you cannot just dismiss it just like that.
Yes, it's a birthright.
Yeah, it's a birthright.
That belongs to everyone.
Yeah, and the pride, even like, for someone to identify as a Muganda, the pride that,
your chest gets bigger.
Well, Daniel, I'm just remembering I heard the president of Uganda, Yoweri Museveni, last time talk about trying to brag that they restored so much, that he and his government has restored so much to the Buganda kingdom and many other kingdoms, that the kingdoms would be nowhere if it wasn't for the NRM regime. Maybe for our viewers, could you please let us know some of the things that the NRM regime has restored to Buganda, or it is just something that is so untrue?
Yeah, and not so untrue. It has half truth and half a lie. It's,
what's the lie part of it?
There are things that the government has done for Buganda. We cannot just dismiss them. The restoration of the kingdom, but I think that was a 50-50 gamble. Like the kingdom has had its part in the guerrilla war that brought this government in power, and in military tactics, you can win a war, but you can never win the mind of the people without the leadership of how can I put it? Let me give an example of the Iraq and Afghanistan war. The Americans failed there because they could not win the hearts of those people. Those Hajis are very difficult to convince. Like, you've come with a gun and you're talking peace. Like, what do you mean? So they failed because they could not win the hearts of the locals. Museveni was able to win the hearts of Baganda, and even most of them got recruited to fight on his behalf because of the influence of the king. Otherwise, he would not have won that war without the input of the Baganda. Not only the Baganda, there are a lot of people who fought. I don't want to exaggerate the situation. There are a lot of people who fought, but the critical part of the war, when they were taking over Kampala, it was because of Buganda. We cannot dismiss that. So it was a 50-50 gamble. The government had its role, and the Buganda kingdom had its role. And the government has done things, like they have restored a few things they had promised, like the things like the land, some of the sub-county properties that belonged to the Buganda. Actually, most of the hospitals, the local administrative centers, district centers were Buganda properties within Buganda, central Uganda, were properties of Buganda, and the government took them. So, but there were those that they were able to return, but there are many they have not returned. So we cannot say they've done zero. They've tried, but at some point I think they came to a point and realized we are making these people powerful and more influential, and they had to hold on to, you know, going forward with that, to be strategic, because the government has its own problems, we all know. And when you are insecure about the people you're ruling, of course you gotta be careful what you do going forward
and how you do it.
Yes.
So you, Daniel, as a legal consultant and a Harvard graduate and an authority on the law, I believe. What are the legal implications on the federal system, and why is it that over the past few speeches that I've had, it's like the king is, the Buganda king, King Ronald Muwenda Mutebi, has been persistently asserting that there is so much that Buganda kingdom needs to get back, but it's like the government is not willing to release some of these properties and land and all these benefits and the federal system itself. So what are the legal implications, briefly?
Obviously,
is the Buganda kingdom at the mercy of the NRM regime, or what does the law, briefly, what does the law say about all these Buganda properties and benefits that they must have?
There is no law that is governing the properties, but there is a law that is giving structures of how these kingdoms operate, the Kabakas and their kingdoms. But regarding their properties, there is no law. There is their agreements. Some of them we probably might never see them, but according to the sequence of events, we can see that even from the speech the Kabaka made yesterday, you can see he mentioned that there were agreements we made, and part of these agreements were A, B, C, D. They cannot be seen in the public, but be assured that they were there. Because I don't think Museveni would just be excited and be like, yeah, I've restored kingdoms without, you know, having something written that this is how we are going to relate together. I'm going to be the president of the country. You are a cultural leader, blah, blah, blah. So he had to put those guidelines in place to be strategic. But legally, it is obvious. We can't hide it. As I mentioned, some of these buildings or this land that government is operating, especially local governments, these structures belonged to Buganda. I would mention, I think it's Wakiso district headquarters, Mukono, I know of which Mitiana, all these and many more, but those are the ones I know of that I'm sure. I don't know about the others. These properties belonged to Buganda, but the government has used these properties for years and years without compensating the owners of the properties. So I think going forward, the legal implication is that there were already agreements way back before even Museveni came. Of course, there have been a series of land amendments. Let's specifically talk about land, and we'll talk about the federal structure later. There were a series of agreements done or put in the law governing the Milo land and this other part of land. But these laws have been amended time again and again and again, specifically to strike a balance. And during, I think, was it Obote or Amin, I'm not sure, who abolished, he actually put a land decree that all land belonged to the government. which was I think put away by the Museveni government, and they restored the old system, which again they want to bring back. So I think I have to dig deeper into that to know specifically. But I know it was either Amin or Obote who put that land decree and made all land, whether the whole of Uganda land belonged to the government, and nobody had rights on any land. So, but when they restored this, they started having challenges as a government now. Like they are facing swift resistance from the people because of a few things that are not working, especially from Buganda, because Buganda, as I mentioned earlier, it's where most of the enlightened people about how these processes work are centered. And I'm not saying only Buganda. There are people who support the opposition who are from different parts of the country. But they are enlightened because of their, just like when you move to America, you're enlightened about a lot of things that are not in Uganda. So some people came to Buganda and realized, this is how it works. If I pay taxes, this is how it should be. The government should do this. So when they are enlightened, the government is playing defensive. Yes, you know these things, but you know we have other agendas. We are not ready to go that direction. So there's coercion. There's that swift resistance that is coming from the people, and then those people, you don't want to give them power when you know they are resisting you. They are resisting your agenda, and part of things that make people powerful in any society is land, religion. As we'll talk later, you will see that the government is putting up a front to fight all these angles of power, that land, religion, and social influence. You realize the government is now wanting to control musicians because they have social influence. Social influence is power. They are fighting religion. They are fighting with the Catholic Church. They are fighting with the Muslims. Religion gives people power. They are fighting, what else? They are fighting kingdoms. They are those that they can put in bed with them. They are those that they can't. So those that can't, they are literally fighting them. You can, that's very visible. You can
Indeed,
see
yes.
it. So they are attacking.
So what you mean is, could this justify? You spoke about the envy. Uganda being the envy of many regions and all this. So the ruling government being dominated by mostly people from the western part of Uganda. Could this justify the envy you spoke about earlier? Could this justify the high-handedness that is used towards the people from the central, for example, in the past elections, and when there is any political crisis, you see a lot of force exerted in the central or on Buganda people mostly. So could that justify? And how does that tie in?
I don't want to generalize it. It's just, I feel like it's just a few elements within the government. Not every Westerner is into this. It's just a few elements within the government who think they can overrun the system of the Buganda and, you know, own their land, own their influence, and, you know, just...
And what would be in it for them?
Economic interests.
Such as?
Because if you own most of the land in Buganda, which is a very economic influential factor in the country, you are, you know, they tried to do it agriculturally because Buganda gained most of its power through agricultural profit. Like we were like the sole exporter of coffee for so long. But you can see that gradually that kind of disappeared, and I don't want to say it disappeared magically. There should be
gradually,
gradually, which was a process. And
so you mean it was strategic?
It was strategic. And you realize Buganda was the main exporter, like it was the food basket of the whole country. Matoke. We had cows. People had farms and stuff like that. But you can see a huge shift that all these things are going in a certain direction into another region in the country. That region is the sole exporter of food into the city, into Buganda right now. Matoke, they are the sole. They're the ones who are owning farms and cattle and all that stuff. Blah blah blah. So I think that was strategic. But I think the whole idea is once you grasp the economic aspect of any society, then there's nothing they can fight for. So for them, I think the strategy is to get the land. Once they get the land, they are crippling Buganda's economic influence in the region. So I think that's the sole target. But these are few elements, and you can strategically see. I want people to analyze this by truth, not by emotions. All the major land wrangles in central Uganda, when you follow up, even through media reports, there's someone from a specific region who is on top of that crisis or that crisis anywhere in the region, be it in Mubende, be it in Mityana, be it in central Uganda. So like that's truth. You cannot dispute it. That's truth. So if it was Buganda who were the problem, you would see that it is the every land crisis, grabbing, chasing people away, it would be a Muganda on top. But no, that's not true. It's someone else from a different region. So I want people to really see that. But I want to be clear here. Not every Westerner is into this. It's a few elements who have got power in the government, and they think they can use this power to kind of like try to shift things around and cripple Buganda economically. And once they cripple Buganda economically and strip it off of its influence, then they think they'll
So why would this be? And thank you for your deliberation. Why would this be something of importance for Friends of Uganda? We have African Americans here who were brought here as, slaves. We have people who were brought here as indentured servants from Europe. We have Native Americans whose land has been ripped from them and then forced to, stay on these lands, given alcoholism. They have food insecurity as well. There's a high demographic of diabetes among our Native Americans. And their land also has been desecrated, and they're still fighting for, like in North Dakota. Why is this something that Friends to Uganda would be interested in or should take interest in?
I think for Friends of Uganda should take interest in this situation because the spirit that Buganda has put up in this country is being open to everybody from different walks of life. Like even if you've grown up in America, you can go in Buganda and buy land, start a business there, and no one can touch you. But in other regions, you have to use the government itself to insert force or power for you to get land. So the first point is that you have to pick interest because this is the easiest way you can get immersed into the system of Uganda. And if you don't pick interest, it is going to be twice harder for you to get immersed into the system of Uganda if you're not going to go through the government. If you want things to work naturally, because in Buganda, I think Buganda doesn't have any political interests. All Buganda wants its economic interests and to have a grip on what belongs to Buganda. But there's a group of people who have political interests, and for them to assert their political interests, they have to be a bit aggressive. They have to go outside of the law or above the law to be able to achieve this. So you either choose to go with the side of where things work straight and it's not politics, it's just you come, what is your interest? Development? Yes. How are you going to do this? ABCD? They give you land. I actually own land. I also have a title from Buganda Kingdom. it's so easy and it's so open, and it's hard to actually bribe that system the same way it is with the government system. So I think the structures that Buganda put in place to manage its land through Buganda Land Board are very easy. Actually, it could be, if the government was wiser, it should have replicated the same system into its own system. But they want to fight this system because it's clear. It doesn't have channels. It works in the vacuum of clearness, not politics, economic
transparency.
That's my perspective on that.
Yes. You know, I was sure a lot of our viewers know my family, we came here in 1986 when Museveni was coming into power, and I grew up here in the States. We came when I was 5. And where I grew up, my mother has a plot of land. We have a house. This is where I grew up. And my sisters and I, we grew up and we left home. They started their own families, and I'm here in Boston. But there's always that knowledge that I can always go home to mommy. If anything should ever happen, I can go home to mommy. I have a home. So the idea of having that taken away from her, in fact, because we're all out, we've asked mommy, just sell the house. She said, no, this is your home. You can always come home. And so for people who are in the diaspora, this is our home. For Bugandas in the diaspora, this is our home.
Not just Buganda, everyone from Uganda.
And in fact, I grew up knowing that Buganda means Ugandans. It wasn't until, in fact, it was not until maybe like a year or two ago that I learned that no, Buganda, that's a tribe. And I was like, what? No, Buganda means people from Uganda. And so when I share with my, my white brothers and sisters, people I grew up with, Judy, where are you from? I'm from Uganda, and people from Uganda are called Buganda. This is how I've always, shared with people.
That's how far Buganda
Yes, this is what I knew. And so to have Ugandans taking Uganda away from Buganda, it's how can a house stand when it's divided against itself?
Exactly.
Do you see what I'm saying? So thank you for your deliberation.
Thank you.
Thank you for your contribution here, and you're always very welcome here, Daniel.
Thank you.
And also, Judy, as Daniel was speaking, before we change segments, before we shift to the next topic, what came into my spirit is that I think this was strategic to crush the prestige, because when you realize nowadays, many people you find even here in the diaspora, some of them, not all of them, but many people do not have that prestige anymore that I'm in Buganda. I'm in Buganda. Many people would not want to be known as to identify themselves with Buganda. So I think the governments or the political system that is ruling Uganda right now, I think they wanted to crush this spirit. And you see, whenever political leaders have risen up from Buganda, you see the kind of violence that is meted upon them, and they are blackmailed to be tribalistic. And so now I see when he was elaborating and narrating all the genesis of the Buganda kingdom and how powerful it is and was. So I can try to sense where the envy, connecting the envy and all this. Thank you so much, Daniel.
Thank you.
And dear viewers, you can be part of this conversation by calling 978-413-6249. The number is on WhatsApp, wherever you are in the diaspora, back home in Uganda. We would love to hear your comments. We would want you to be part of this conversation. So feel free to call. The number is going on your screens, 978-413-6249, and be part of this conversation as we go on. Thank you.
So I want to get to the second half of our program here. We wanted to discuss the changes, the differences from the beginning of the year to where we are now. There was the political climate that was happening during elections, prior to elections, during elections, and the shift in governance, the shift in power, and where we are now that we've passed the halfway mark of 2021. Daniel, what are the changes that you've noticed since the beginning of the year?
Politically, I think there is a growing shift. I don't know if people have took time to notice this, before the election, the opposition was at its helm. Like, it was big, and it was because of one element, Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. And I think part of the reason why Bobi Wine broke through that fast is it's one of many reasons, but his story. You know, any political, any influential person in society, his story has to relate to people before any other thing. You look at Obama, his story related to so many people across different age groups, across different cultures. The story of Bobi Wine and how he grew up cut across people's hearts. It gave hope to millions of young people in the country, in Uganda, to believe that I can be something. His story gave hope to many mothers, whether in Buganda, whether in Acholi, whether in Karamoja region, that I can have a son who can also struggle in life, but at the end of it can contest power, can contest to the highest office. He gave hope to many fathers who had boys like Bobi Wine, who would want to be a musician, who would that would be their soul, but then can pick up from that and become someone who Bobi Wine is. Personally, the story of Bobi Wine gave me hope. So that hope inspired a lot of people to give attention to this young man. It is actually clear that a lot of people went and registered to vote simply because of the influence of Bobi Wine on the system. And the truth is, Bobi Wine won the election. That is not contested. He won the election, though he didn't take the office. But then the contesting group, the NRM, figured this out. They saw this influence. Of course, Museveni has had his own story, and he ran on this story for years and years. Like this young kid from Ankole who was rearing cows, and now he's the most influential person. He reached a point, and his story expired because you cannot run on that for all that long, and you know it's the song
for half a century.
So what he did, shifting from then and for now, because and the other thing I want to mention, beside that fact of the story of Bobi Wine, the hope he gave us, that he actually, for the first time, I don't know if you guys realize this, for the first time, Museveni was calculating his political game head to head with the opposition. It was unlike in the Besigye time, where Museveni was like 10 times ahead of the opposition. This time, he was calculating head to head. I could literally see that. So Bobi Wine gave us a hope that if you can outsmart this guy, you can beat him hands down. And Museveni is a smart guy, I'm telling you, he's smart. But Bobi Wine gave us hope that you can outsmart the smart guy. So what Museveni did, he knew the influence and the smartness of this guy. It was not usual. It was not the system he knew before. He was actually crumbling by the time of the election. He was crumbling.
He was unraveling. You could see it.
You could see it. So he realized this, and then he was like, okay, I'm rebranding, because Museveni always wants to think ahead. He's now thinking of 2026. And you can see this in the appointment he's making. So he cannot brand himself to be the Bobi Wine, but he can brand his system to be the influence that Bobi Wine put on people. That's why he's appointing regular people who are close to the hearts of people. Because himself, he knows he cannot put himself out there like, you know, this guy who fought. That story is now like, most of the young people here, they have no idea what happened then, the war. That's not the stories they want to hear.
So you're seeing that in the appointments that he's making. So talk to us about those appointments. Does he have a relationship or relatedness to the people that he's appointing, or is it this guy looks okay, I think he should, you know, he should run in this office? Does he have an actual relationship to the stories behind the people that he's appointing? Because we got to know Oh, that's so sad.
He's not.
We got to know who Bobby Wine was. Yeah. We got to know his family. I mean, we've been in relationship with him through his music, through who he is, and the way that he speaks truth to power. Yes. And so we're related to Bobby Wine and therefore Robert Chagulanyi Sentamu. So, but he doesn't have the relationship that we have had to both the artist and the politician that he has with the people that he's appointing.
Exactly.
So how well is this facelift that he's doing going to actually stick?
It will stick. Seven is smart because he is not putting himself out there. He's putting his system out there.
Education is the key to unlocking your family's financial future. At Burlington Community Financial Center, we help families resolve their financial complexities by working with them to create clear and meaningful financial goals. Thanks to our unique educational platforms and financial workshops, families can begin to live debt-free and have enough money to secure their emergency fund and long-term savings.
At Burlington Community Financial Center, our mission is to educate families and guide them to achieve their financial dreams. Contact us today to learn how to live financially independent.
Education.
You are watching AI TV. AI TV, connecting the diaspora. You are watching AI TV. AI TV, connecting the diaspora.
Education is the key to unlocking your family's financial future. At Burlington Community Financial Center, we help families resolve their financial complexities by working with them to create clear and meaningful financial goals. Thanks to our unique educational platforms and financial workshops, families can begin to live debt-free and have enough money to secure their emergency fund and long-term savings.
At Burlington Community Financial Center, our mission is to educate families and guide them to achieve their financial dreams. Contact us today to learn how to live financially independent.
You are watching AI TV. AI TV, connecting the diaspora.
Welcome back. So Daniel, my question was, wouldn't the natural placing of these positions be in Buganda? Like, if it was another president, wouldn't he naturally put them or place them in Buganda, those positions of power and authority?
Actually, the ones who are placed in Buganda are for political reasons.
Okay.
They don't have any authority. Like the Nabakovas, the Nabanjas, those are political gambles. But people who hold power, the permanent secretaries in these ministries, like, I want you to look at all the positions with special advisor to the government. Who holds those positions? Special Forces Command, special blah, blah, blah. And like, there is a segment, like, let me tell you, even if you are the CDF, but the Special Forces Command is commanded by the person the president can control, the CDF doesn't make sense to the government, to the president. It's just a political position. You don't have any influence on the army. There are other people who have the influence on the army. If you're the Minister of Health and the permanent secretary is the person the president can influence to make the decision, the minister is just a political position.
It's just there for show.
So Daniel, having seen the past election, that Museveni lost this election, and the people, mostly or mainly the young people, our generation, exhibited a lot of disgust with his system and with his mode of governance.
Yeah.
Wouldn't he have chose more competent leaders? Is he playing his cards well by choosing incompetent leaders who are not good at, who are not going to perform and to be good at service delivery just because he wants to play the political game?
There are those who
Isn't he adding an insult to injury? Already the people are disgusted with his system, and they showed it in the past election. And now bringing people like Nabanja and all those people you have spoken of.
Bobby Wine mentioned something that is really very important, and it's very crucial. Any dictator's gift is the mindset of his people. Museveni has a gift that many of our people are very ignorant about these things. Like and even the media pushes these things. I saw the appointment of some ministers, and there was a rhetoric in the media that even the people of this region have got someone. It's not about the region. Actually, if it is about the region, it's more political than service delivery.
Yeah.
If the media reports, even the people of Kamuli or even the people of Busoga have got this person and this person in the government. If the people of northern Uganda have got Olanya in the government, what is Olanya going to do for the people of northern Uganda?
Right.
Nothing. Nothing.
Yeah.
His business is parliament. It has nothing to do with service delivery in the northern region.
Yes.
So, but people celebrate that unknowingly. That yeah, we've got Olanya. He's very, very powerful. But Olanya is not going to make sure that the hospital in your village has medicine. His business is what?
Yeah.
Nabanja probably would make sure, but Nabanja, the position where she is, she's already facing people fighting her because she came with all this excitement. I'm going to make these changes. I'm going to influence this and this.
Yes.
And there are people who own the system. They're in the background. In political science, we call them the deep state. You don't see them, but you see people crying, oh, they want to kill me, they were intimidating me.
Yes.
They are there.
Yes.
So she's probably came, the president chose her for maybe political reasons, but then she saw it as an opportunity to show that I'm ready to work for my people.
Yeah.
But they already people intimidating her. Why are you querying that? Why are you querying this? So there are political position and there are positions that are really powerful, and they're influencing. And you can see that there is a shift in who holds what position. Most of these other Basoga, Batoro, Baganda, they are put in positions that are political, but the positions that have power, you don't see people like that there. You don't.
Interesting.
Yeah. You can I don't know, I don't want to say things that are you can clearly see that let's mention, like, for ministry, like, let's mention the most important ministries, like Ministry of Education, because obviously education is a very powerful ministry, and
agriculture,
and finance,
health,
those three ministries.
Yes.
You can see the way they are structured. The people on top, probably in the Ministry of Education, we can exempt it, but of course where the president's wife is, she is the she is the influence of everything.
Yeah.
But the way these other ministries are structured, the person on top is appointed based on tribe and politics. The person who is next, who makes the real changes and the real things happen, the permanent secretary, is based on loyalty to the president. So you can see that Museveni is protecting, he's putting a wall around himself, but also trying to revive his dead political capital.
So how can the opposition deal or work with this tension, being that we have also seen quite a number of opposition members of parliament that Bobby Wine, with the help of his NUP vehicle, managed to put into the parliament. So how do you see them dealing and working with this? They are young men, vibrant. How do you see them dealing and coping with this tension? And what should the normal, ordinary Ugandan do in such a crisis, political crisis and power struggles? Is it just hope lost, or what should Ugandans do?
I think I want to talk about the opposition in general. I think since the election, the opposition kind of went down. It's not the same vibrant opposition we had prior to the election and during the election.
With the fire. Yeah, the fire has
And the opposition, you mean exempting NUP or
NUP
other,
and all other
and all other political parties? Okay.
The thing is, Museveni is very smart. I don't know. There is a way I see him. He knew he didn't have influence on the media, social media. The opposition was. So, and he started the period of time where he was shifting this power, was creating this power shift in his government. He kind of planted conspiracy theories on the internet. Like, people were jumping all over all sorts of things. Museveni is dead. Museveni is this. I had a meeting. Museveni said that. Like, he's making people busy to be around all that. Actually, I had a political science class at Harvard where we were talking about the political system in Egypt. It is the same system Museveni is doing. Make the people talk politics from morning to evening when you're in the background making a build-up. And then people will be shocked. People are going to start to be shocked with the things Museveni is going to do next after.
Yeah, because we're busy talking. Yeah, he's building something.
He throws a few bones there. You can hear all these so-called bloggers.
Yeah.
Me, I've quit NRM. And the next day he's back. So he's making people be around all that.
Yeah.
And talk about that and spend more time on that.
Yeah.
And miss the bigger picture of what he's building in the background. He's actually rebuilding for 2026. And now this is where the opposition has to be very critical. For the first time, I know Bobby Wine is capable, but I don't know, I don't want to say that, but they've been quiet for so long. Probably they are cooking up something, or they are re-strategizing. Because I also understand the environment where they work in is very
dangerous.
Cruel. Cruel.
Indeed.
But this time you're not going to win Museveni by putting up a physical fight in parliament. You're going to beat Museveni by being twice smarter than he's trying to be. And I know there are strategies, and I know there are ways the opposition can maneuver through all these by simply being smart about what he is trying to do. And Bobby Wine is good in this, and his team and the people he works with. Probably the FDC, they can work together, but I'm not sure about the FDC. But they can forge something that can help them maneuver through. Because the first test they are going to have as NUP parliamentarian is this land bill that is going to come. They're not going to go physical, but they have to fight intellectually. And part of what I mentioned in the beginning, the story of Bobby Wine and how he identified with people, I think somehow he kind of like pushed back and became this huge political figure in the country. I think he has to go back to that and be the person people can relate to, and be the person that people can see and have hope. And I think also he has to tone down on how aggressive he is on the media and be aggressive in strategy. Because I could see the way he talked after the election. Like, Museveni, we are giving him 1 month. He's not going to swear in. Like, that kind of rhetoric, I know. I think strategically thinking you don't want to go there. Speaking like that in media. You just want to work in the background and boom, surprise him.
Yes.
Because that's what he was doing before. He asked for his qualifications in the university. And Museveni paid a lot of people to push that. The media pushed it. And then, boom, they were also asking for Museveni's. So he kind of like withdrew it.
Yeah.
So that kind of play of politics
Yes.
is what will make the opposition overcome Museveni. And Museveni is an easy target to he's smart, but trust me, according to the way like Bobi Wine set a pace, he is, because Museveni is self-destructing. When you are all over him strategically, he kind of scrambles and do self-destruction. He can destroy him. Actually, they can use him to destroy himself. Instead of them putting up a physical fight of words in the media, they can just work in the background, be strategic, and keep on surprising him. He will actually get angry and start firing people like the way he did with the Electoral Commission.
Yes.
He will start panicking and reshuffling the police and the army like the way he did prior to the election.
Yeah.
So
we saw that in the later part of Trump's administration, where he was also self-destructing.
Yeah.
You could see the man like literally falling apart.
Yeah, exactly.
On his own.
That's how you defeat men like that.
Yeah.
You don't go physical with them because they are ready to go all the way.
Yeah.
And I think part of why Bobi Wine needs to re-strategize is to, because I think I've talked about this before. He needs to really put a lot of effort in his foreign policy agenda, especially in the region. Because Museveni, I've told people, Museveni is the protector of Western interests. And as long as he's doing that, they are not going to let him go. Bobi Wine won the election and no one was willing to fight for him to reclaim his victory.
Yeah.
Because he didn't stipulate a clear policy alternative on how he's going to protect the investments of the Chinese, the Americans in the region, and the security, and because they've invested a lot of money. They train the Museveni's army, they equip, and they will not stop.
Yeah.
Because you are talking about torture every day, torture. You gotta have an alternative, and you got to spell out a clear policy alternative. What is NUP's position on Eastern Congo? What is NUP's position on South Sudan and Sudan? What is NUP's position on the war in Somalia? What is NUP's position on Central African Republic? I think Museveni doesn't have much political capital. He's actually rebuilding and he's catching up with them. But they can also dismantle him in that angle of foreign policy.
Yeah.
And they can give the Americans an alternative. As long as Museveni is there and is protecting their interests, is protecting their businesses, they'll just come in the media and say, yeah, and in the background they are working,
Together.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed, they are.
Yeah.
So-
Do you feel the diaspora has played a key role in putting up a fight against this and supporting Bobi Wine and all his initiatives? I also saw Bobi Wine, was it on CNN the last time?
Yeah.
And he exactly what you were speaking of.
Yeah.
He was telling the
American
friends,
government,
the friends of Uganda that you don't have to work with the dictator if you want. We can protect your interests. And he went hard on that, and he told them publicly. So, what do you feel the diaspora needs to do? And as we are winding up this session because of time, what's your final message to the people in the diaspora? What have they done that you really commend them for? And what more do you feel they need to engage in? What more do you feel they need to do more? What's the missing?
I think the diaspora has done a very brilliant job. But Kampala has to meet them halfway. If the people go and put up a riot at the IMF and they bring the IMF attention to Uganda, and Kampala is not meeting that halfway, it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
If people go to the UN or the World Bank and put up a fight, and the World Bank is like, yeah, where are those people from? Uganda. What is our policy on Uganda? We have this guy. He's protecting our interests. They'll just look at it and So Bobi Wine made that TV interview at CNN. I watched it, and that was very brilliant. But I think he has to make more of those once in a while and make clear policy agendas.
Yeah.
And make clear policy agendas of where Museveni is gaining. Because for Museveni, he will go anywhere you don't be surprised that there's going to be UPDF going to Mozambique, because now ISIS is in Mozambique. Because he will offer himself to go there, because no African country wants to go there. Because when he goes there, of course, France has a lot of investments in that country.
They do.
In oil. And the French army will come and train the Ugandan army. They'll give them the best hardware and the military that is up not.
Yeah.
And Museveni is gaining either way.
Yeah.
So that's why I think Bobi Wine has to do a lot to give a clear alternative on policy agenda. And he has the diaspora. And the diaspora, I really commend people of the diaspora. They have really come to the occasion this time. It's not business as usual when Besigye was the leader of the opposition system in the country. They've really come to the occasion, but Kampala has to meet them halfway. If we go to riot at the IMF, and the IMF gives attention to Uganda, what can they pick? What can they pick and like, this guy, these guys are supporting this particular individual or this particular party. What is the position of this party about? Because as long as the World Bank and the IMF and the Department of Defense are in bed with Museveni, he has a long way to go.
Yeah. Do you think he has the people? Do you think the people surrounding him have the let's say the chutzpah to write policies that would change the dynamics of Uganda's role in Eastern Africa?
Of course. Actually, they don't have to rewrite it. They have to keep it the way it is, but make exceptional offers. Like, let me give you an example. A lot of Ugandans have died in South Sudan. The UPDF goes there to protect the government because the Western people have interests there. Many Ugandans have died in Somalia, and a lot of Ugandans have died there. I think it would be better to give them an offer whereby we want to work with you, but we want to work with you in a way that we are equal partners. We are protecting their interests, but we also want Uganda to have interests. Because look at South Sudan. It's Kenya doing serious business there. It's Kenyan banks, Kenyan hotels. The same thing with Somalia. But the Ugandans who have died there, Uganda is the Ugandans in South Sudan are killed every day. No mention of them anywhere. The poor ones who are there, they are driving borders. They are selling katogo. They are no serious Ugandan business.
They have no business up there.
Uganda as a country is not benefiting in that. So I think for the Americans, because right now would be the perfect time to spell a more clear policy strategy between the Americans or the Western world and Uganda, because they are now on the edge with China. So this would be the perfect time to bring that up, to push it, because it will give them attention. Like, what is Museveni offering us? What is Bobi Wine offering us? Then they weigh, what is the best alternative? Because America stands for democracy, freedom, blah, blah, blah. So if you, I don't want to go into the strategy, but if you offer that and you're like, we can work with you in that picture, and look at the guy you're working with, he's completely the opposite of what the values you stand for, and push that. Push that.
Well, I assert that they already know that this is the type of person that they're in bed with. Like, the West already knows who they're in bed with. It's how much can you benefit from this person versus that person?
Exactly. That's how
that's
how global politics works.
Yeah, absolutely.
People have invested billions of money in the region, and you want to be the president of a country that is holding the security of the region. How? Like, how are you really going to protect our investment? That's because global politics is business. Trust me. It's not about human rights. It's not about democracy. It's business.
Well, thank you so much, Daniel. It's a great deliberation. And Judy, before you wind up with the upcoming demo and also the NUP Diaspora Retreat, a final remark, conclusion note from me, the way I sum up everything that Daniel you spoke about in this last segment is that here is the West, the Western world. let me use an analogy of a wife that you have kids with, but is illegitimate. But anyway, you have kids with that person, and she turns out to be bad, and you have to divorce her. But it's not easy because you already have kids out of So it's like the tension that the US has to deal with, to divorce this NRM regime that is becoming worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And we people in the diaspora, we continue to encourage you to do what you can do, whatever you can do. Those of you who can tweet, those of you who can protest in whatsoever way you can do using your social media platforms, please go on and do whatever you can do. It's not yet over until it's over. And these are values, democracy, the human rights, and many of these values that we believe in are worth fighting for to the last man standing. So do not lose hope. Do not lose courage. We are here. We are the U Voice, and we bring people like Daniel, who are very knowledgeable, to come and dissect and analyze all these issues. And then you need to make informed decisions, and you know the action steps to take forward. Judy, can you please speak about the upcoming? I heard that the NUP has an upcoming Diaspora. What the first of its kind?
Yes, it's the first diaspora-wide
convention.
Retreat.
Wow.
And that's not to say that it's a retreat from war or retreat from the struggle, but it's a retreat to regroup, to restructure, to plan, and then creating a plan to move forward. So that's happening this coming September 24th through the 26th here in Boston, Massachusetts. Again, that is the 24th through the 26th of September. It is diaspora-wide. We're requesting that anyone who is for the struggle for Uganda, you are very most welcome. If you are from another country, we request that you first secure a visa appointment, a visa interview prior to registering for this retreat. The retreat is followed it follows a protest at the UN during the UN summit the day before. So there's the UN summit protest, and then we have the retreat here. So if you are outside of the US, please secure your visa appointment and then register for the retreat and or the demonstration. And registration is $200. And those $200 are non-refundable. Hence why it's so important for everyone outside of the country to secure their visa interviews prior to registration. I'll give my closing remarks. I'm just so grateful that you're here, Daniel. Thank you again for your contribution and the conversation. This is for, friends of Uganda, our brothers and sisters to Uganda. We are standing here with you. We're standing for you, shoulder to shoulder. And the struggle continues, and we will not stop until we have our victory that was already ours. It's our birthright. It's our birthright. And so thank you again to our viewers for watching. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for following us. Again, next week, we're going to be doing a short series on the Buganda land agreements and how we got from those agreements to where we are now, where there is land grabbing. So please stay tuned and keep following us. Again, thank you for your devotion and your love for us, and know that we love you here from U Voice. Again, my name is Judy Bukenya.
And I'm David. Thank you so much to our producers, Sean and Herman, and our editor, Ethel. Thank you all. And from me, have a good night.
Good night.
You are watching AI TV. AI TV.